Hello, my name is Samuel Acosta,
Hi, my name is Natalia Flores.
and welcome back to once again another episode of Gov 101. Today we have
Giovani, Maytorena, Deputy Public Fiduciary at the Public Fiduciary Office.
Hello, my name is Cecilia Mejia. I am the Public Fiduciary Director for Santa Cruz County.
Thank you, Ms. Mejia and Mr. Maytorena, for joining us today and for taking time out of your day to be in our podcast. Our podcast in general is here to educate the public on what each head of department does, and what better way to do that than to have a game show concept. So, we will be asking you to give us a brief description about your role and what you do. Your response will be around 30 seconds, and from there, Sam and I will be asking you questions, ringing these bells. And the first ones to ring it pretty much ask you that question. We'll ask a total of about 10 questions.
Okay.
Ready? Okay. So to start off, can you please give us your description of your role?
Okay, well, my role as a Public Fiduciary Director is to oversee the department. Our department is governed by the Supreme Court, which we are court-appointed guardian and conservator for incapacitated persons. So from there, once we get appointed, we do a lot for that person, and we call them a ward of the county.
Correct. So to elaborate a little bit more, what we do basically is once we get court appointed, we are in charge of making sure that everything is done on their behalf, which would be anything from medical appointments to financial payments, any kind of issues they may have, we're there to resolve them. So we become the surrogate for that individual, since the only reason they would appoint us is they need that specific fiduciary to help them.
Okay.
Before we go any further, can we also know some description about your background, as in where you were raised, born, where you graduated from high school, and pursued your higher education?
Correct, yes. So I was actually born in this little town called Empalme in Mexico, and here in Sonora. I was maybe like 7 years old when my mom brought us here to Nogales, and I pretty much lived all my life here in Nogales after that, except for 8 years that I was in Phoenix. But before that, I did graduate. I went to Nogales High School, but then graduated from Rio Rico the last year. And then from there, I actually went to Phoenix and started working for the Bank of America as a personal banker. So that's where I got a lot of my background, actually, where I learned a lot of what I know now about financial, and a lot of stuff that I know that's not because of this office. It's, before this office was because of that, but it was very interesting to actually grow up and be able to grow up and do something without going to, getting that higher education like you mentioned. Unfortunately, I didn't have the chance to go into college or university, but I did learn a lot of, what I needed to do just by going into the financial system.
Okay, my background is, I was born and raised here in Nogales, Arizona. I've been working for the county for 34 years now. I started back in 1988. I started with a program called JTPA, which was a workforce program at that time. From there, I transitioned into the recorder's office, where I worked there for about 9 years. And then I transferred over to this department, the Public Fiduciary Department. So when I worked at the Public Fiduciary, I started from the bottom, and I have worked my way up. I started with, basics, going out in the field, working with all our wards, our different agencies around the community. So working so many years in the county, I've seen a lot of changes. I've seen a lot of people coming in, people going out. All my life, this is what I've done, is work for the county.
How do you support the elderly when you guys take over?
We actually don't support them. The county doesn't give us any funding. It's not a state or county funding program. We work with what that individual receives from Social Security, from their benefits. So we work with their benefits and how we pay for their rent, where they're living, their necessities. So each individual, of course, depending on their situation, each individual will receive a different amount of benefits.
Correct, and we find the resources for them. So if they need food, we might have to take them to the food bank. If they need help with rent, we might try to find a place that can actually either lower the rent or help them with the rent. So it's very broad because if we do their medical appointments, we do their any kind of issue they may have. They ended up in the hospital. We have to go and make sure that everything's going on, everything's well. So that's one of the ways we actually support them. It's through whatever agencies, whatever resources are out there. Not so much that we have funding for it. We just actually have to rely on other resources within the community or even the state to assist us with it.
What qualifications did you need for this position that you're currently on?
When I started, what actually did help me a lot, and it kind of goes back to what I was saying earlier, is that I had worked about 8.5 years as a personal banker, and as a banker back then, I knew a lot of everything because we would do everything from opening an account to doing a mortgage. So one of the things we do in this position is actually we pretty much deal with a lot of financials. So sometimes they might have a mortgage, they might have a personal loan, they might have a car loan. So that actually helped me be able to move in without having like a medical background, because we also do a lot of medical stuff for them as well.
Oh wait. Oh, I lose my turn next time, but I'm sorry.
So we're actually we actually hold a fiduciary license, which is governed through the Supreme Court. We have to take that license in order for the fiduciary to work under that license. Actually, the department itself has a license, which is a business license, and then Giovani and I have our own individual license. So that department has to have a license for us to work. That certification, we have to renew it every 2 years. We do have to have it. We do take CEUs, which is the credits that we have to earn, that the state requires us to have those requirements.
Can we also know a day of your life as a public fiduciary worker?
When I'm at work or when I'm out of work?
When you're at work.
Okay, it does vary, and the reason is because, like I said, since we do so much, and I'll do just a basic day. I'll come in and we do our morning meeting, we get everything ready for the day, and for me, usually I'll work on either like our probates or pending items that we may have. Like for example, if we have an individual that we just got appointed to, and they have a home mortgage or a loan, then I need to start figuring out, hey, what's going on with this individual. Now, it can change because, for example, today we had a court hearing in the morning. So we had to go to court, and then from there, I took the ward we just got appointed over to get some groceries, take her back home, help her put those groceries down. So it does vary every day, so it's kind of hard to really pinpoint a specific day because every day is different in our office. And that's because, we do a lot of different stuff for different individuals.
I'm sorry, what was the question again?
A day on your life as a public fiduciary worker when you're working.
Yes, correct. So our office, every day, although it's routine and we might do the same thing every day, but one phone call, one visit will change our whole schedule. Basically, we do a lot, like Giovani mentioned, and as much as we try to keep it routine, there's a lot going on every day. There's a lot, different things, new things. Like Giovani just mentioned, we had a court hearing this morning, so now that adds more to our daily routine. So every day is different.
What's the biggest challenge working in this department?
For me, it's not getting, well, I can't say not getting personal with our words because I have a big heart and it does get personal. So that's my answer.
Yeah, and it is very challenging because you do sometimes see our words more than their own family sometimes, or sometimes they don't even have family. So we become their family. And it's hard because sometimes we keep them from maybe 10 years, 1 year, 20 years. So imagine being with somebody for 20 years and then they eventually, unfortunately, pass away. It can be very, very difficult to not become attached to your word. And I think that is probably one of the most difficult things that we have to deal with.
Yeah, so in our job, the end of these people's lives is, they expire, and so that's the most challenging.
And I think just to add really quick, it's also, you have to keep your composure, of course. It's not, you deal with these words and unfortunately, they demise. You can't really break down, right? There's still a lot of work to do. We have to plan for funeral arrangements, all that stuff. So it does make it very, very difficult. Technically, you don't mourn or anything like that.
Well, when you get home and you cry
Yeah.
and you mourn, and
But not.
But not at work, right?
Yeah. What are the qualifications for in order for the persons to receive this type of care?
It's really not qualifications. The way we get our wards, it's referrals from different agencies. The biggest one is the Adult Protective Service, which is a state program. They're like the frontliners. They're the ones that are out there seeing these cases before they refer it to us. So we get referrals from Adult Protective Service when people are getting financially abused, physically abused. They don't have families, or most of the time the family is the perpetrator, so we get those referrals. We do get a lot of referrals from Mariposa clinics, from the doctors, because they're seeing the decline on their patients. They know that their patients are home alone, they need help, so they refer. Anybody can refer a case to us. You're a neighbor or anybody. So once we get the referral, then it's up to us to go and investigate and see if they qualify for this program, and then we take it from there.
Correct. Yeah, there's no precise qualification, and unfortunately, if we were to say there is a qualification, is that the person is incapacitated, disabled, to a point where they can't make decisions on their own. So we are a court-appointed office or fiduciaries, which means that we don't just show up and be like, oh, we're gonna become your fiduciary. We actually have to go to court. There's a whole process to it. So technically, yes, it's true that we don't have a form that says, okay, we'll fill it out and this is gonna get you these services. And it's very important to know that because we are court appointed, and the reason that we are court appointed is because some of the rights do get taken away from individuals, which compared to getting services through an agency or something that doesn't happen, that's why we have to go through a very long process before we get the individual. They technically have to be incapacitated to a point where they don't know what they're doing. They're maybe pulling cash out of their bank account and they have no idea where it went. And that's one of the referrals we usually get is, missing funds. It's like, where did that money go? And of course, we also get referrals for people that just, their neighbors will see them and they're like, there's really, something wrong with them. We don't know what's going on. They may be, living in horrible conditions, but they don't really grasp the situation. So yeah, unfortunately, there's no actual form or anything like that. It's just basically, we need to make sure that a doctor says that the person is incapacitated, and also an attorney will, ensure that we are doing the correct thing and not just trying to get somebody because we want to get them.
Can family also call you and say and ask you if you can take up their position as a guardian? Let's say they're moving or they just don't have the mental capacity to be a caretaker anymore for their family member.
Yes. Family, the law states the family has priority over the public fiduciary. Most cases, yes, the family can refer anybody to us. if they're like elderly parents that can no longer take care of their child, or depending on what the case may be, or a sibling or a cousin or somebody that they just can't handle it anymore. So the law states as a fiduciary, once we get appointed a fiduciary, it means that no one else is willing or able to serve. So most definitely, yes, a family member could refer a case to us.
Yeah, that's actually correct. I don't think I can add too much to that, except that sometimes family members do get burned out, right? They might already be a guardian themselves, the family member, but then they're just burned out. They just can't do it anymore, and they will contact us. But yeah, we do get sometimes referrals from families that are just can't do it anymore, and we always tell them, that doesn't make you a bad person or anything. In fact, it's quite the opposite, because you are trying to find a way to help them because you can't do it anymore. So that's also really important to keep in mind.
Would you guys say you have an impact on the community?
I believe we have a big impact on the community, and mostly because this is the individuals that you might be seeing wandering around, the store or just on the street, and you're like, well, I keep seeing this older gentleman or lady going by, and I wonder what's going on with her. And that's usually some of the referrals we get. It's a neighbor or somebody that sees this individual, and it's like, oh my God, why is this lady out in the middle of the night? She's elderly, or they're disabled. So we do create a great impact, I think, because we assist those basically that can't really help themselves.
Yes, I think we have a big impact in the community. It's just that we also have a bad reputation because people think that once we become guardian for a person, we're there to control their funds, or we take them to court. You hear all the negative of not seeing the positive side, that we are actually helping those people.
This isn't working. What's a piece of information that you'd like the public to know about the fiduciary? Like you said, they see you as a bad guy. Would you want them to know that you're not the bad guy?
Correct. No, yeah, the public fiduciary, we're very helpful. We change those people's lives. We give them a quality of life that they don't have right now. If they're vulnerable, if they're being neglected or abused, we give them a good quality of life.
Yeah, I think it's very important to point out that something is that goes back to what I said, is people always think that when we get involved, we just grab an individual, take them away from their home, and put them in like a group home setting or something similar, when it's usually not the case. Normally our job is to actually keep them at home for as long as possible. But I think that's one of the bad reputation that people see that, and I know because I heard it even in my own family, where if the government gets involved, they'll just take them away, and it's not true. Our goal is to keep them there, keep them at home or her at home, and give them the best quality of life possible as long as they can reside on their home. Unfortunately, there are cases that we will sometimes have to place somebody in a group home setting or something similar, but for the most part, it's not our job to just get involved and then place a person. And I think that's where some of that bad rap comes from, that people talk to other people and that's the immediate thing they tell them.
So in our department, we're not like DCS or Child Protective Service, where that agency can actually go in and pull out the child from the home because the child is not safe. We can't do that. We cannot remove somebody from their home without them being in immediate danger, or sometimes we have to get a court approval before we can place somebody in a different setting, whether if it's a group home or a nursing home. For the most part, all our wards are living at home, and we leave them there as long as that they're able to live at home.
To conclude our more professional questions, our more, not not solemn questions because I can definitely tell that the vibe kind of got very serious, but it's for good matters to educate the public. But to kind of turn away from that, what's your guys' favorite food place here in Nogales?
My favorite place, I guess I would say, is Tacos and Tarros.
Really?
I just like the environment there.
I like everything, so I'll eat anything and everything. So I truly don't have an actual favorite food place because I like all the food from different locations. But yeah, homemade food is the best.
Yes, by far.
No.
If you guys have any questions, or I don't know if Sam has a funny question.
No, I just thought that was really dark how everything went from dark to like talk about food, you know?
Oh, I know.
That was like weird
I felt the
transition.
vibe, but we gotta
It's fine.
uplift.
Yeah.
If you have any questions for Sam and I, feel free to ring the bell.
Actually, I don't actually.
Okay, well, thank you so much, Ms. Mejia and Mr. Maytorena,
Got it.
for joining us today and letting us interview you. Stay tuned for another episode of Government 101.
All right.
Thank you